Hello everybody, Genesis here, bringing you some Hearthstone today. This game is fairly new. Made by Blizzard. It's a trading card game. Well, not really, because there's no trading involved, so it's a collectible card game. And right now we're going to be completing these daily quests here. So, one of them, I've already put a dent in these two. One of them's win 5 games with Druid or Hunter, the other one's win 5 with a Shaman or a Warlock, and the other one is play 20 minions that cost 5 or more. So, I would like to get the this one done, as it's the closest that we are to finishing. So I've got the option to play a Druid or a Hunter. Personally, I enjoy the Druid a lot more, so we'll go ahead and select him. Malfury and Stormrage. Now, these are the cards. In the top left-hand corner, we can see the mana cost. Each turn, you gain 1 mana, starting with 1. So, as the game goes on, you'll be able to play larger and larger cards. These cards here are spells, which would be the they're kind of your deal damage buff cards or whatnot. And here we have a minion. You can tell it's a minion because it has attack and health points. So this guy has 2 attack and 2 health, and it has a nice little ability here. We'll get into that a little bit later. But for building the deck, generally, I like to play for the late game. I know that there are a lot of interesting rush druids out there, but we'll go ahead and chuck 2 innervates in there. We'll stay away from claws or Mark of the Wilds. Go for the wild growth. Double Wrath. Now, Power of the Wild is a pretty good card. If I have room for it, then I'll go ahead and chuck it in there. Have to have Savage Roar and Swipe. Swipe is really good AoE, and Savage Roar combos with another card really well. It can be a nice finisher on turn 9 or earlier if you get a Innervate or a Wild Growth off. So I'll do 2 Druid of the Claws. They're good for board control, and this is the card that Savage Roar synergizes really well with Force of Nature. So we'll chuck 2 of those in. 2 Ancient Aloris, draw 2 cards or restore 5 health, so it's a nice little heal or draw card if the time arises. Ancient Award, just really nice big dudes. Now, Tree of Life, this is a new card. It restores all characters to full health. And this can be nice if you're about to die and your opponent still has relatively decent health, and because I'm playing for the long game, I think it might be a decent one to throw in. Alright, then here are your neutral cards where any of the classes can pick. Earlier, these are all Druid cards, only a Druid can use. So here we're going to go for early game control, and then later game just awesomeness. So, Annoyatron. New card. I've yet to see it really how it plays out really, so we'll go ahead and chuck them in there. Throw in some Ironbeak Owls, and then because we've got 4 silences, we'll throw in some Ancient Watchers. And for the last 3 minions, I really want to go big. So I have a decent amount of cards. And we're gonna go with Thrun Loatheb. Actually, I might want to pull. Let's see, what can we get rid of for? So this is kind of my early game to keep me alive and such. So I'd like to throw in, I've got a fair amount of legendaries. I'd like to throw in Ragnaros and then Sylvanas. So we need to take 2 cards out. I don't know how a Noyotron's going to pull out, so we'll take one of them out. We'll leave one in the deck, and if I really, really like the card or don't like the card, then I will pitch it. And to get Ragnaros in, I'm really debating I should take out one of the Ancients, because I'd like to take something out of the top in order to put something that huge in. I think they'll get rid of a Ancient of Lore to throw in a Ragnaros. Alright, so there we have our Druid. So let's go ahead and play a game. We'll go ahead and do Ranked. Something that I really, really enjoy about this game is the sound design. All of it is really, really nice. Like just mousing over the cancel button makes a noise, and then pressing it makes a completely different noise of a different tone. It's just really good at telling you what you're doing. Alright, so in these beginning stages we have the option to replace our hand. So all these cards, they're pretty large. I might hold on to a Keeper of the Grove, but it's still pretty high in the mana cost, so I'd like to get some relatively low things. Alright, so we did not, but we did pull out an Innervate, which gives us 2 mana crystals for 1 turn. So that will allow me to play a 4-cost minion on turn 2. And just kind of speed up the game a little bit for myself and get a minion out, because right now it's just not really giving me much. So we're going to go ahead and hero power for 2. Each hero has its own hero power, and they're all fairly different. So mine is give yourself 1 attack and 1 armor for this turn. Armor stacks, so it carries over to each separate turn. It kind of acts as a secondary health. Alright, so he's gonna coin, which is basically similar to my Innervate. And we're gonna go ahead and play an Ancient Watcher. Now, this guy's ability is that he can't attack. And the reason for that is because he is a really big guy, 4/5, and he only costs 2, so there has to be a drawback there. Okay, so right now he's playing quite a few guys. This one, he's pretty dangerous because he gives the possibility of doing 6 damage. So we're going to go ahead and use our swipe just to deal damage. These minions have death rattles, which means that when they die, something happens. So that Clockwork Gnome, his death rattle was to add a spare part card. They can range in abilities. We'll see if he ends up using it this turn. Okay, so this is probably a very aggressive deck from what I can see so far, so we're going to go ahead and use our Innervate in order to put out the Ancient of War, and he can either have +5 attack or +5 health and taunt. We're going to go with the +5 health and taunt. Taunt is essentially, it makes the character the center of attention. Like, he can't attack anything but the taunt card. She's going to play a weapon. This gives his character that amount of attack, and the number on the right is going to be its durability, so here he has to attack into the big taunt guy. Friendly minion stealth until your next turn. Okay, so he's going to go ahead and stealth up his Whirling Zap-O-Matic, so this way I can't attack him because he's a pretty big threat. So for this turn, I am actually going to Innervate again to get another 7-cost card out. And this guy gives me the option to restore 5 health or draw 2 cards. I'm going to restore 5 health on the Ancient of War. And because he is a big taunt, I'm going to attack him directly and let him send his minions into my Ancient of War. So there he used a Hex, which turned my minion into a frog. Now he's going to AoE, so he's doing a lot of damage. He will be able to clear my board, which is unfortunate, and be able to do a fair amount of damage to me, but I should be alright. If I could just hold out for a few more turns, I can actually kill him. Unfortunately, this will be doing 10 damage per turn. So we're going to go ahead and play the Annoyatron, which is a taunt, but it also has Divine Shield. Divine Shield is basically an invulnerable barrier that will take one hit and then phase out. So no matter how much damage he does, the barrier will take a hit. So that will allow me to survive for at least another turn. Yep, so now it looks like he'll be able to deal with it at the moment. I'm going to take another 5 damage. Alright, he's going to stealth that away. So unfortunately I'm really not drawing anything that's going to help me out in this circumstance, and I think I am actually just dead. So he'll do 10 damage with that, 3 damage with that. I'm at 9 life. One more turn I could have used Tree of Life. So unfortunately I am going to have to concede because I have nothing that will help me. So unfortunately I lose a star, and I'm not going to be able to get that achievement quite yet, or the quest. So we'll go ahead and we'll queue up for another game. Alright, so this is a Warlock, and they have a very, very unique hero power. So we're going to get rid of all of our super high cost minions. They have a really unique hero power in the sense that it draws a card, which no other class can do, but it also does damage to them. So it draws a card and deals 2 damage to the hero. So it's an interesting little trade-off. Okay, so we got the coin, which gives us a mana crystal, and Innervate, which gives us 2 for a turn. So I'm going to hold on to those, and then next turn I'll be able to add 3 mana to my 2 and play a Druid of the Claw, giving me some pretty decent early game momentum. Or instead, I could play the Ancient Watcher and then Innervate out the Owl. Silence means that it gets rid of whatever effects the other minion has. So since this minion's effect is that it can't attack, I can silence it, and now it can attack. But all minions have Summoning Sickness, except for those with charge, so they can't attack till next turn. Alright, Moral Coil deals 1 damage, he draws a card. So I'm not too concerned about that. And there he's going to life tap. So what we're most likely playing is a Handlock. They like to draw a bunch of cards and then play minions that really revolve around the size of your hand. It'll be something like there's a giant that costs 1 less for every card in your hand. Or the Twilight Drake, which gains 1 health for every card in his hand. Unfortunately for him, I've got this Ironbeak Owl, which silences it, taking away that 8 additional health. So now it's stuck at 1, so I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of damage, but keep his side of the board empty, and continue to deal damage with my Ancient Watcher. And then next turn I can Druid of the Claw, or I can coin out a Karen. So we'll see what he ends up doing. If he is not able to put a taunt out, I will most likely continue to attack him. Okay, so I will continue to attack him, as I feel that I can do a fair amount of damage, and because I have this card in my hand, it will allow me to do 6 damage right away. So he's at 7. So I should be able to kill him next turn, unless he's able to taunt up the Molten Giant, which it looks like he will be able to. Yeah. So those Molten Giants are reliable on the amount of damage that you have taken. So it's normally a 20 cost minion, but costs 1 less for each damage he has taken. He's taken 23, so they both costed 0. So it's going to be difficult for me to get around. Unfortunately, I'd spent a fair amount of my silences. So it's going to be difficult to get around, but I do believe that I could do it. There is my Savage Roar, so we're just kind of going to continue to put guys out. Do 4 damage to him, as at this moment I want to just try to get through those taunts. Alright, and then he'll probably end up attacking with the, with the 2-3 and the 4-5. Oh, is he gonna attack me directly? Because if I can make it till next turn and not have him put additional taunts on the board, there we are, then I'll win the game. But I need to live. Oh, that's very interesting. So actually we win. Reason being, this is why the synergy works so well. Force Nature summons a bunch of 2-2 guys. And then we're going to innervate out our Savage Roar, turning them into 4-2s, and they have charge, they can attack right away, and we're going to be able to do 4 damage. So, there we go. So, we were able to clinch the victory with a top deck of epic proportions. So, yeah, a lot of druids really rely on that Force Nature Savage Roar combo. It is extremely effective. Alright, and here we have a Paladin, and their hero power is that they can spend 2 mana and summon a 1/1 recruit. Okay, so I don't know what it is about me getting all these ancients, but I believe that every game so far we've gotten we've gotten them on the first hand. Okay, so Wild Growth, it's going to give me an empty mana crystal that carries over to the next turn. So I'm going to coin, gain a temporary mana crystal, and then Wild Growth and gain a permanent one. Of course this takes up my turn, but it puts me ahead by 1 mana. So a nice little bonus there. Okay, and here we're going to go ahead and draw a card using Wrath. So deal 1 damage, draw a card. And we're going to draw another Wild Growth. So this could be considered a bad decision, but I am going to continue to increase my mana pool, allowing me to summon larger and larger minions. I have yet to draw any of them, but I do know that I've got quite a few in my deck. So I am hoping that I will draw a couple here. And so far, not really. So we're just going to put out the Annoyatron and use my hero power to dispatch the 1/1. This matchup is kind of interesting because both of our hero powers kind of trade for each other. If he summons a 1/1 recruit, then I can gain 1 attack and 1 armor, kill the recruit, and lose my 1 armor. So still no minions, so I might go back and take a few of the spells out of this deck in order to add some more minions, as right now, even in the 2 other games, I seem to just not have any minions to play. It looks like he's running into the same issue here, only really using his hero power. So there's a minion, but not the one that we want. I'm not gonna lie, the Annoyatron is quite annoying. So, they succeeded there. Something I love about this game is that the objects are interactable. So in Avenging Wrath, he is using a 6-cost spell in order to dispatch a 2-cost minion, so I would certainly say that we got what we wanted out of that card. And yet, still, neither of us are playing minions, so this is turning into quite an interesting game. Oh, and there we have a 7-cost minion, so... Ah, and here we have a minion of my own.
No time for games.
So Sylvanas is very, very good because when it dies, it takes control of a random enemy minion. So let's say that he decides that he wants to kill this with his Guardian of Kings. Well, that means that I gain control of it, and there he's gonna buff it up. So, very, very nice guy. Going to allow me to take control of quite a powerful minion.
Let none survive.
As the death rattle is going to go off, and I'm going to grab Guardian of Kings, and then I will taunt up the druid. There it goes. A little bit of a delay there. And we'll go ahead and end the turn. So, he's going to Equality and then followed up with probably a Consecration. This does 2 damage to everybody, and since he reduced both my guys to 1 health, so he can dispatch them very, very easily. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and throw out our Ancient of War in taunt mode. Trade away with the 1-1. And if I get too low, I have Tree of Life to fall back on, which will restore both of us to full hit points, thereby kind of resetting the health game, but hopefully I will have better board presence than he will. So he seems to be still running into the same issue. Quartermaster, it's a new card. Helps buff up those recruits. I'm not sure if when this dies, does the buff go away? It does not. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead. How would I like to dispatch that? I believe that we'll use the ability of the Keeper of the Grove combined with my hero power in order to get rid of that. And then there's not really too much else that I would like to do.
Reporting for duty. To arms, men!
So it seems that we were both running into the same issue of just not getting any minions, or he was probably hoping to combo some of these cards together, but just wasn't really able to do it. So I am just going to continue to clear the board and secure my board presence. Now, I'm curious if this extends to minions. I suppose that now would be the best time to try it, since he will gain the least. Looks like that, yes, it does, so... I gained quite a lot of life, and put both of my minions back up to full. Alright, so he used both of his Quartermasters, which synergizes extremely well with that card. That's fine. The purpose of my big Ancient of War is to just be a wall, so it doesn't matter if he's a 5/10 or a 1/10, he is still a wall. And we're going to go ahead and use our swipe here, which does 4 damage to a single enemy and then 1 damage to the rest of them. And that will clear his board. So, very nice. Moonfire to deal 2 damage to him. And we're kind of picking away at him now that our Ancient of War has been substantially neutered, but it's alright. We're still in a good spot. We have board control, and I've got a Silence in the hand, along with 2 Savage Roars, so I've got some pretty good burst damage. In fact, so if I add 6 damage... Ooh. So that is the game. Alright, so once again that is a very, very good combination. They're just rewarded me with my victory, and there we got our 60 gold. So I can indeed afford a pack, so I will end this with a pack opening. We will open a pack from the new expansion, so that's what I have the least cards in. So hovering over the cards, we can see their rarity. So this is a rare. The ones that don't glow have our normals. Purple is epics, and orange is legendary. So we'll take a look at our commons here. Dark Bomb, already have those. Anti-Killbot, they are interesting cards. I apologize. I have been fighting a cold over the last few days. And then for our rare, the Annoyatron, we are very familiar with that card. We have Muster for Battle, so a very, very strong card, but a card that I believe that I already have. So, actually I did not have a second Muster for Battle, so it's a very, very good little pickup if ever we decide to make a Paladin deck. We have that at our disposal, so yep. So possibly we will end up making one using Muster for Battle, Sword of Justice, and I'm unsure. I do not believe that I have the Quartermaster. No, I do not, so we might end up crafting a couple of those in the future, as they are very good cards indeed. So, I have been Genesis ASMR, and thank you for watching.